Hello and welcome to the Blockade Runner podcast number 279. My name is John, and joining me this morning is Ryan. What's up, Ryan?
Happy celebration and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
happy 20 years of Attack of the Clones a few
Uh,
years ago.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we did not plan to be matching this morning, but here we are wearing our matching Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary hats that we got in Chicago. Was that? Yeah, was it, right?
Anaheim.
Anaheim? Okay. Anaheim, yes, Anaheim.
Yeah.
Chicago was 2019. Yeah, Anaheim. Right on. The last celebration that we went to, we did not go to London, and we are not, Ryan, in Tokyo right now. At
Sadly.
Yeah, isn't it? It's Tokyo, right? Um,
Yeah. Yep.
okay. I don't know if it was like 20 miles outside of Tokyo, and I was saying something wrong by calling it Tokyo, or
Yeah, it's actually at a convention center that I have been to in the past, just
hmm
not for a celebration.
It starts with an M. I've heard of it in other
Hmm
contexts too.
Uh, Mac Makahari Mesa?
Masai. Mm-hmm.
Masai? Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we're not there. We're here at home,
Hmm
at our respective homes. But this is Saturday morning of celebration weekend. So there's been 2 days of, 2 out of 3 days worth of news and announcement and exciting stuff from Star Wars Celebration. So we are getting together to talk about that. We definitely wanted to record another episode anyway before Andor releases this coming Tuesday and talk about the state of other things in Star Wars and kind of, Star Wars news and things like that. But then I think we'll get together again next weekend, Ryan, to talk about
hmm
Andor. Um, 3 episodes releasing Tuesday night. So I don't think it's going to make any, I don't think it's going to be possible for us to like record an episode about those 3 episodes before the weekend. Do you?
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
We will see what happens, but it'll probably be next weekend.
Yeah, I'm thinking each weekend following the releases is going to be the most doable schedule for us. But as always, we'll fly by the seat of our pants and see what happens, huh?
Hmm
Cool. Okay. Well, no more delay because there's a lot of news coming out of Star Wars Celebration that we should talk about. So we've got a nice list here, and I think we have it organized from what you're most excited about to least. Ryan, is that correct? The top of the list is your most
What is
exciting
the
item.
top of the list?
It's the Mandalorian
No.
and Grogu film.
No. This is not what I'm most excited about.
Oh,
But we can talk about it, I guess, because it's the next Star Wars movie in the theaters.
yeah, that's right. It is the next Star
Yeah.
Wars movie in the theaters, and it was the title of the big um, the first what big panel at Celebration on Friday. Um, so it kind of we weren't there, and I didn't watch it. I don't know how much of it was streamed. Have you? That's actually a good question. Have you been watching any of the StarWars.com streaming coverage of Celebration?
No, I've just watched a handful of videos that have been put up officially and unofficially.
More on that in a moment. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I really haven't been able to catch any of the streaming coverage either. Obviously, we're sleeping for part of it. I mean, it does start at, I guess, maybe like 7 o'clock for you, huh? I think it starts around 8 o'clock for me, celebration each day. So I could watch, I could stream that stuff, I suppose. Didn't even really think about it. But, it's a busy time of day, other things going on. And
hmm
I've been following along on Blue Sky and on Discord, actually, because we have two uh, Discord participants who are in our Blockhead Runner Discord that are there, which is very exciting, and I'm super super happy for them and excited to see Celebration through their posts and updates. But
hmm
yeah, Ian and Jesse's with Ian, who we hung out with at the last Celebration, and of course also Dave Hackerson is at Celebration.
Yeah.
Dave being a resident of Japan,
A
so.
resident. Yeah.
Yeah. So very cool for them. So yeah, we're seeing updates from them. I'm seeing updates on Blue Sky and StarWars.com and all that kind of stuff, but I haven't really been watching the streaming coverage. anyway, this first panel seems like it was titled Mandalorian and Grogu. That was like the focus of it, but it ended up being, about other things as well, which is great. That's fun. But let's talk about Mandalorian and Grogu first. So obviously we've known a fair amount about this movie for a while now. We know that it's coming out next May. We know that it's been shot and filmed, and we know all about the Mandalorian and Grogu because we've watched 3 seasons of that show. But there were still some fun surprises at this panel. For instance, icon Sigourney Weaver was there on stage, so that was pretty cool to see that she was there, and I guess we learned a little more about her role in the movie. Do you know if anything's been like released about that, or like officially, or if they stated what her role is in the panel?
I mean, they had her wearing an orange X-wing jumpsuit,
Yes.
which I think you can do some inferring from that perhaps she is flying an X-wing
Yeah.
in this show. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, part of the rebellion, or not the rebellion, I guess at this point, part of the Republic, right? But yeah, I just wonder like what her role is specifically. Is she, Wedge Antilles, or is she more like Mon Mothma but hops into an X-wing at some point? You know what I mean? I'd imagine she will have a little more what stature or a higher position than just X-wing pilot, but maybe I'm just imagining that because she's Sigourney Weaver, star of Alien and Ghostbusters and a million other great movies. Maybe that's why I'm imagining that. But I think her age too, would suggest that maybe she's got a larger role.
It's interesting. We don't see many older women in action roles in Star Wars.
Right.
I'm struggling to think of any examples. I'm sure there's like some obvious ones right there, but I really can't. So I think that is kind of like a new dynamic, which will be very cool because I mean, we know she's got the chops.
I know she said in interviews or whatever too that like she sends the Mandalorian and Grogu off on their mission or something like that. So I guess that's another pretty strong indicator that she'll have some kind of position of authority. Her character will, but yeah. Other than that, I don't know that there was any like real big news or kind of reveals about the Mandalorian and Grogu from the panel. Other than there were some cool behind the scenes photos that were shown, right? And then if you were in the room, there was a kind of, I guess it's a teaser trailer that was shown, right? A bunch of footage anyway. Maybe not technically a trailer because it didn't have like, I don't know, it wasn't structured. I don't know if I've seen it or not. Can I say that I've seen it, Ryan? Am I allowed to say that I've seen it even though I wasn't there?
You would be lying if you said you haven't seen it.
Oh, we don't do that? Okay. I guess I've seen it.
We don't lie.
Okay.
We try,
You could have quoted Stranger Things there, actually. You could have said, friends don't lie. You could have.
Well, I didn't. But if we don't go out of our way to break the laws on the show, but if someone happens to be like, hey, here's a clip of that that Mandalorian and Grogu trailer that you'll probably never see otherwise, like, how do you not click that? How do you not watch it? How do you not send it to the group chat? Like,
fair.
Impossible.
Yep. Okay. Fair. So we did watch that.
Yep.
One of us found that online and sent it to the rest of us, and we watched it. And yeah. So let's talk about the teaser trailer, or footage, or whatever you want to call it. I thought it was very fun. I really I thought it looked good. I was excited by it. The opening shot I was a little iffy on initially because it was like very modern movie looking, by which I mean like
Mm-hmm.
it was like a long shot, like a I think the phrase is a oneer. They call it in the movie industry. We'll have to ask California Chris about that. But it was like a long shot where the camera kind of pushed in a little bit, pulled back a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
it panned a little bit, but it was capturing this whole kind of sequence of action in kind of one shot, rather than cutting between different angles, and it just felt very kind of modern. It like in the camera movement and kind of the visual like language of the shot, a little slick, I guess you might say. And I was like, I don't know, like, but there's stuff like that in The Last Jedi too. I think Ryan Johnson for sure, and maybe JJ as well, but Ryan Johnson like for sure kind of like expanded the visual language of camera work and stuff in a Star Wars movie, and pushed that boundary a little bit where it felt a little more slick and more modern at times than other Star Wars had. Um,
Mm.
I guess George did in the prequels too, honestly. If I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. So, but there was something about it where I was like, I don't know, this looks a little bit like a Marvel movie or something, not a
Extremely.
Star Wars movie. I'm sorry, what's that, Ryan?
Extremely.
Extremely? Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's necessarily bad. I think it's just, not what I'm used to, right? So, and as the clip went on, I thought, the rest of the footage was seemed really fun. We got to see a little Sigourney Weaver. We got to see some Mando flying around with Grogu. Some snow battle action, and yeah, it looked like some really fun Star Wars excitement to me. How did you feel about it?
Not great. I think like I mean the TLDR is like if they showed this and was like, "Hey, here's a look at Mandalorian season 4 coming soon to Disney Plus." I would be like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, great. Fun." But I think there's a weight that this movie carries as like a Star Wars film, and the return of Star Wars films to the theater. And I don't I don't know. Maybe they are obviously not feeling that weight in the production of this, because it really does just feel like a um like a slicker continuation of the television show, because it had like it had the action, it had the like Grogu moving his head and everyone being like ah, and like a little bit of like a goofy thing, and yeah, like I don't want to be like too negative on it, because this is obviously not like their public foot forward. It's like, hey, this is here's some clips that will be very exciting for people in this room at this panel. Um, but I think the single shot action at the beginning, like um what I think of most in like modern times for something like that is like the Daredevil Marvel show, which there was like a huge deal made out of like there's these single shot like action scenes, and then they just came out with like a new Daredevil series on Disney Plus, and like it opens with one of these like one shot action scenes apparently, and people are like, yeah, they're doing the thing again. And so it's like it's very much like not something I really associate with Star Wars, and I think it is one of those, I don't know, there's like I like action movies, and I like good action scenes. I love like the John Wick series, and but when those kind of like ultra badass action sequences happen in Star Wars, they just don't really feel right to me. I think of like the Vader hallway scene in Rogue One. I have some conflicting feelings about the deep fake Luke scene at the end of Mando season 2, where he's like just total wish fulfillment badass Jedi slicing through everything. And then I think like here it's, I don't know, there's something that like, something about the tone that just doesn't quite feel Star Wars to me. Like this, it's not exactly what Star Wars is about to me, even though I like it in different contexts. So,
Mostly in that opening scene, though, right? I mean, I feel like the rest of the trailer felt, like I only had that feeling of like, oh, this is a different feel and tone and look or whatever in that opening sequence. After that, it to me, it just felt like Mando and Grogu, like what we're used to.
yeah. And
I know you're
I
saying
think,
like, hey, that's not like, that's the TV show we're used to, and this is supposed to be the new movie, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the stuff that's like later in the trailer is like, again, it's like, oh, Grogu moved, like, haha, kind of things that you would expect from from like a teaser for the for the show.
Yeah.
But it's also like, it's really hard when they put something like this out with zero context of like, we don't know what the plot or the conflict or anything is here. So like, it really just comes off as like kind of just like fan filmy of like, hey, check out like this cool stuff with these characters. And
Yeah,
like,
it's a highlight
here's a
reel and a
badass
tease.
thing.
Yeah.
Here's a funny thing. Here's a cute thing. Like, you love this. And yeah, I don't know. But also like, the purpose of this, again, like going back to it, it's not supposed to be like a story trailer or anything. But
Yeah.
I think, I've always had a degree of skepticism about this being a film, and the return to Star Wars films. And you can, like, it's fine. You can put something like inconsequential into the theaters that makes an okay amount of money, and it's like fine. But like, I was really hoping for like, there's just a different bar I think I have for Star Wars films in the theater.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think, at this point we don't know. It could have more depth and weight and everything, like, to make it feel more like a substantial Star Wars movie going experience that you're looking for, and we just don't know about that yet. I think they're certainly capable of doing that, like Mandalorian season 1. I think season 2 also, I mean, I think they kind of fumbled what they had at the end of season 2 afterwards, but like, I think the arc of the first season is pretty emotional and pretty satisfying, and I think that's true of the second season too. I know a lot of people were not as happy with the third season, and I would agree, but I still liked it a lot. But anyway, I think like Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, the Mandalorian, Grogu team, all that, they're certainly capable of telling a complete and emotionally satisfying, arc or plot or whatever, with these characters. And so hopefully, and I don't expect it'll just be like Mandalorian season 3 again, except for now it's a movie. I would imagine there's going to be more there. And the other thing I was going to say, Ryan, I thought about this actually the other night when you texted us, is like, hey, this is the first Star Wars movie back, so it's got all this weight on it, right? And so we want it to be a certain kind of thing or whatever. And it's just like, I mean, but no album can be Pinkerton 2, you know what I'm saying? So like, if you're Weezer and you're putting out your next album after Pinkerton, it's like there's all these expectations on it, and it's like, well, the Green Album is not Pinkerton, and a lot of us were really disappointed with it initially, but then afterwards it's like, Well, it's not Pinkerton 2, but it's a really good Green album. You know what I mean? Like as the Green album, it's
Mm.
awesome. So it's like I don't know. There's there's a balance to be, kind of found there between like what do I want this to be, what is it actually going to be, and also it's purely speculative at this point because we don't actually know what it's going to be. But it feels like it might be more Green album than Pinkerton, and it's like uh, that's okay. You know what I mean? Because Green album rules. I was listening to it yesterday, and it's awesome.
It's very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate this metaphor, but I'm not sure it totally works here because again, this is a TV show
Yeah.
that is in its lane of TV, and then it's like now it's a movie. Like we're continuing the TV show, but now it's a movie. It's not like organically, the next like saga film or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think like, you say we know Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau can pull off amazing stuff with this show, and like true. The best parts of Mandalorian are some of the best Star Wars ever. But there's also some very not best parts in this show, and I think starting with season 1, um like I would not have rose-colored glasses on for season 1 because there are some low lows even in season 1, and I would say there are low lows in season 1, low lows in season 2, and also some like high highs in season 3. I actually really like some of season 3. I also recognize that there's some really not great stuff in season 3, and I think this is a show that has such like kind of a general lack of consistency. I mean, I would say it like trends towards good. Like it's not like, yeah, we're not talking like, the last season of like Game of Thrones or something where it's like, whoa, that was a dire episode. Oh, another bad one. Like this the show trends good, but there are some like still some like baffling and corny choices throughout that I think make it hard for me to be like, overall Mandalorian is like a great Star Wars product.
Yeah, I was just thinking though in terms of the overall arc of season 1 as an example. I think we could talk season 2 as well. And it's been a while since I've watched any of them, but like I think the overall arc is satisfying. So to me, if I translate that to a movie, it's like, okay, the 2 hour long movie, if I trace it from beginning to end, is going to be an overall satisfying story. And so like I think it's the 5th episode of season 1 that's like a real stinker.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, that I don't like that episode really very much at all. Like, okay, so there could be a scene in Mandalorian and Grogu movie that's like pretty weak, you know what I mean? But like, I guess what I'm saying is I trust them to be able to look at, zoomed out view, like beginning to end, is this a satisfying story? Versus like with the whole TV show conversation, I can see like some concern that like maybe it's just going to be it's going to feel a little inconsequential overall, or it'll just feel like, well, they went on an adventure, but it didn't have a lot of stakes or weight to it or whatever. And I don't want that. I want the movie to be fun. I think it will be fun, but I also do want it to be like, to have some, like to have that weight and that depth and to feel like a satisfying, character journey. To me, like something like Solo comes to mind, like the movie Solo, and I know that's not your favorite either, but
Mm-hmm.
I really love that movie. And but it like going back to that conversation of like, okay, first Star Wars movie back, whatever. It's like, okay, well, if Solo came out in 2015 and it's the first movie since Revenge of the Sith, like how do we meet that movie in the theater? Like
Mm-hmm.
that is a question worth asking, and there, like that's an interesting thing to consider. And I think that would have been a problem for the movie. It had problems anyways in terms of how it was received and released and everything else. But like, had it been the first one back, that could have been a problem for the movie. But I guess what I'm trying to say, too, is like at the end of the day, the movie is the movie. It's not different, like based on when it came out or whatever. And I think Solo is a really good movie. And I'm glad it didn't have the weight of being the first Star Wars movie since Revenge of the Sith. But even if it had, I don't think that changes the fact that like it's a damn good movie, and I don't think the weight of coming back to the theater since 2019 in A Rise of Skywalker is quite as heavy, obviously. Not nearly as heavy, especially with all the stuff we've gotten in between. But it is, there are still stakes there for sure. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I also, like, I know you love Solo and Rise of Skywalker, but...
I really love Rise of Skywalker. Like, I love Rise of Skywalker.
I love that for you. I love that that's your journey. But I would say, like, you might be somewhat of an outlier in the quote-unquote general consensus around those. So
That's true.
I think if, for many people who are like, the last good Star Wars movie was The Last Jedi, or that one sucked, the last good
Rogue
Star
One.
Wars movie was Rogue One. Like, then I think we're talking like, a lot more time, a lot different expectations.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there is this whole meta conversation about it. But like overall, I feel like obviously I'm going to go see this movie opening night, like regardless, and probably enjoy at least most of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't see this movie doing anything like so egregious that I'm like, oh my god, never watching that again. Like it will probably be fine. It will probably be imperfect, as even the best Star Wars movies are. But it just like, yeah, I don't know. I think I was just hoping for more.
Yeah. Well, and we have a lot of other stuff to talk about and not that much time, so we should definitely move on. But
Yeah.
I remember when this movie was announced, I immediately went to, at that point, Twitter and was like, this seems like a weird idea to be the next movie. Like, it's going to feel like a TV show in the theaters. Like, are people really going to be that excited to go see more of the TV show they're already watching on, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. Like, I wasn't sure about it. And I guess I'm, still not totally sure about it. But at the same time, like watching that footage, it did kind of feel like maybe this is a smart play in terms of like, it's not complicated. It doesn't seem complicated anyways. And people love those characters. And so maybe it will just be a thing where, I don't know, when did Mandalorian season 3 air? Like 2022, something like that. I mean, by the time this comes out, it'll have been like probably 3, 4, 5 years since people have watched these characters on Disney Plus on TV. So, it hopefully it'll work out on that level. Like people are just like excited to go see some characters they love again on screen, in the theater. So, maybe that'll be good. Oh, and Garazeb Aurelios, we got to see some Zeb too. I didn't mention that. I think we saw some Zeb in the footage. So, that will be cool because I like Zeb.
Yeah. Kind of looks a little weird in live action.
Oh, really? I thought he looked great.
Doesn't look bad.
Okay.
Weird.
Okay. Weird. All right. Well, speaking of not looking bad, Ryan, let's talk about, and we didn't see any footage of it.
Gosling.
Yeah. We didn't see any footage of it because no footage of it exists, but the Shawn Levy Star Wars film is official. And it is coming out. It's coming out Memorial Day 2027. That is the 50th anniversary.
1 year after Mandalorian and Grogu.
1 year after Mando and Grogu, the 50th anniversary of Star Wars being released, right, in May of 1977. So this is the big 50-year anniversary movie release. Although, who's to say maybe, another Star Wars movie could potentially come out in 2027. I doubt it, but either way, this is the one coming out in May. So I guess it's the it's the 50-year kind of movie release or whatever. They didn't talk about it in those they didn't talk about it in those terms as far as I know, but that's the first thing that comes to
Mm-hmm.
mind
Mm-hmm.
for me. So yeah, Shawn Levy, I mean, most recently directed Deadpool and Wolverine. I haven't seen it. You couldn't make it through more than 15 minutes of it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I I'm excited for Shawn Levy to make a Star Wars movie, not based on that, but based on, I'm sorry, Ryan, but his work on Stranger Things, and just the fact that he seems to be very enthusiastic about doing this, and he seems to be no slight towards any of the other filmmakers announced that are making Star Wars movies, but he seems to be like, hey, I want to make a Star Wars movie, and I'm actually going to do it, and I'm going to prioritize it, and I'm going to make the movie.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I like
I do
Taika
respect
Waititi.
that.
Yeah, Taika Waititi, not that guy. You know what I mean? James Mangold, I mean, kind of. We'll see, but it hasn't been
Mm-hmm.
happening super quickly. But I don't know that he's necessarily, you know, like it seems like progress is being made, and he was making his Bob Dylan movie. It's fine, right? So it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. I don't think that there's any fault on her part that Ray movie hasn't happened yet necessarily, but I'm sure she wants to get it done, is trying to do it. But anyway, Shawn Levy is like, hey, I want to make a Star Wars movie. I'm going to make a Star Wars movie. Let's make the Star Wars movie. It even kind of feels
Yeah.
like he wants to make the Star Wars movie so much he was talking about it a lot when he wasn't supposed to be, just to like kind of put pressure on Lucasfilm to like let me make my Star Wars movie. So I think there's that enthusiasm there, which is exciting, right? So I like that. Um,
Yeah.
and it stars Baby Goose Ryan Gosling, and I like that too because I like Ryan Gosling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, I haven't seen too much from Celebration with Ryan Gosling, but he appeared to be like very giddy about making a Star War, and talking about how much everybody love, like how much love there is for Star Wars and this community, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, it just all seems very, very positive in terms of the people involved. Like it seems less complicated than some other Star Wars projects. And I don't mean in terms of the story, because we know nothing about the story, but in terms of it being um, like just the process. You know what I mean? It feels like, and it kind of feels a little bit to me like what some of us have been, some Star Wars fans have been saying, like, why can't it be like this? Why can't it be like you say you're going to make a Star Wars movie, then like pretty quickly after you say you're going to make it, you actually make it, and then it comes, you know what I mean? Like it feels like this is very
Yep.
much like following the kind of production cycle that everybody's been begging Lucasfilm to
Mm-hmm.
follow. So I mean, that's kind of good too.
Yeah. Yeah, we can get into like actual thoughts on the film in a sec, but again, this kind of like meta narrative of everything. Um, like we have all these projects that are just, I mean, there's no other term but like development hell. Like the Charmin Obaid Chinoy movie has been through 4 screenplays, 5 at this point. I don't I don't know. It's, and that was, yeah, that one is probably the movie I want the most, and it's the one that like just seems to be in such a tough spot. And like, yeah, the Mangold one I think will happen. I think it will probably be the next one. Um that dude definitely seems to get things done.
Mm-hmm.
Um Taika, it just doesn't seem to be a priority for him, but like, cool, he's making other amazing things. Uh, this trilogy by Simon Kinberg, yeah, right. That's not whatever. Like,
Dude,
I don't think that's happening.
that's more rock solid than any of the other ones, I think, honestly.
I don't know. I don't know.
You
Like,
got to look at his his IMDb and his history. Like he's a Lucasfilm, like he's tight with the people running
yeah,
Lucasfilm. He's in there tight. So
yeah,
I
but
just
a
think,
trilogy, 3 films, I don't know. No, nothing about them. No, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But like you were saying, it was like, God, what was it, like a year ago that it's like, hey, Shawn Levy might be making a Star Wars movie, and then Shawn Levy's like, I might be making a Star Wars movie in like
Yeah.
every Deadpool and Wolverine interview.
Yeah.
And then what, like 2 months ago, they're like, maybe Ryan Gosling's gonna be in Shawn Levy's Star Wars movie that's like happening. And then yeah, here we go. So I mean, honestly, like I am not a fan of Shawn Levy's work. I don't know. I have not seen a Night at the Museum film. I have not seen Free Guy or whatever that movie is, but I saw a trailer for it and it looked real bad. Uh, um, but not a Stranger Things guy. But I don't know. What gets me about this movie is, first of all, it's called Starfighter,
Mm-hmm.
which is just cool. Like the logo reveal trailer was just like, yeah, that's cool. It's takes me back to the early PS2 game Star Wars Starfighter, which I like a lot. But again, like, is this consequential, inconsequential? I don't know. But it takes place 5 years after Rise of Skywalker. So we are moving forward in the timeline, and for better or worse, like, that is exactly what I've wanted. And I this, if I could handpick my director for this, and this isn't the person I would pick, but it's moving forward in the timeline. It's got Ryan Gosling. Like, there's good here. I think this could potentially turn out cool. It's just also, like, interesting. Like, this is 5 years after Rise of Skywalker, and it's called Starfighter. Like, what is happening? That's, I thought we solved all this. Like, the Emperor is dead. Like, why are spaceships flying around fighting? What's going on here? So I think that is, like, kind of it's something compelling to kind of think about.
Yeah, so that's interesting because one thing I wanted to bring up is that we know nothing about this movie besides, who's directing it, who's starring in it, what the title is. But just based on the title, it sure does feel like, is Patty Jenkins still going to do her Top Gun in space Star Wars movie? Because this kind of sounds like Top Gun in space. And I thought of that because, you said, like, hey, like, I thought the war was over or whatever, but, like, there was no war happening during Top Gun. You know what I mean? Like in 1986 or whenever that movie came out, there was no, kind of like big war happening, but you still had your Air Force, and you still had your Tom Cruise in his Starfighter. And, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that even if there's not some galaxy-wide conflict that is, life and death for the galaxy, as a whole, maybe this is a more contained kind of conflict or threat or whatever. And again, like, we just got done talking about Mando and Grogu, and, like, some people's concern is that perhaps the story won't have enough stakes or it won't feel big enough or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it feels like this would not be a movie that would be kind of introducing some huge, direction for the post Rise of Skywalker timeline, and maybe more just a more contained story kind of in that part of the timeline, I guess.
Yeah, and you know what? I think you asked it as a question, but I think it is a statement that the Patty Jenkins movie is dead. And this is the statement on that, because that's literally what that movie was going to be. It was going to be set shortly after the sequel trilogy, and it was going to be about, fighter pilots. I prefer this title. It never quite sat right with me that the Patty Jenkins movie was called Rogue Squadron, because Rogue Squadron was a squadron during, the original trilogy. That was those people who were in that. And it did kind of just feel like we're taking this name, and it's obviously not going to be the same people. Most of Rogue Squadron is dead in the canon. But yeah, this is like pretty much the exact same concept. And
well, it sounds like it is. It sounds like it is. We actually don't know. I mean, but it sure sounds like it, right?
Yeah.
Based on that title. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess what else could it be with that title? You're right. Yeah. What else could it be with that title?
Maybe it's an actual dude who goes and fights stars. Ryan Gosling versus the stars.
Yeah, I just watched Lionheart with Jean-Claude Van Damme last night. Maybe it's more like that.
Okay. I mean, cool. But I think Starfighter, yes, it is a video game about the star, but it's not like the ships in the game, like the Naboo fighter, it wasn't oh, we are the Starfighters. It's just this is a game about fighting in spaceships.
Yeah.
And this is a movie about fighting in spaceships. I like this title better than Rogue Squadron for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Starfighter not quite as iconic in terms of Star Wars history and stuff as Rogue Squadron, right? So I think doesn't have the same kind of stakes or not stakes, but the same kind of weight or whatever association with it. So yeah, we don't know much else. I mean, I don't know who's writing it. Maybe that's out there, but I didn't see it. Maybe that was part of the rumor before, when the story kind of leaked or whatever earlier. But yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. Like I said, I like Stranger Things a lot, and I know that Shawn Levy is kind of the behind the Duffer Brothers, the creative voice most involved in that show from a directorial perspective and producer perspective and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, there's other writers and things involved too, but I think he's a big has a large role in the creative direction of that show, and I love the show. So that makes me optimistic. But otherwise, yeah, looking at his the films he's made and stuff. I don't know that it is what it is, right? So it's but it seems like a fun idea. I love Ryan Gosling. It just seems cool. So hopefully it'll be good. But we know so little at this point that it's really tough to say more than it's the concept seems fun and it seems like it's really going to happen. And so let's buckle in and it could turn out really great, I hope. And I feel a lot better about this than I did about the Patty Jenkins Rogue Squadron movie after some reflection. I mean, it seemed pretty cool at first, but I don't know. I think this might be a better option. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about Andor season 2, Ryan. Both of us are watching Andor season 1 this weekend, I think, right?
Yes.
We both watching the Blu-ray set.
4K blues.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, they look great.
Feel like I'm watching a different show, honestly. Yeah. It's going to be very sad going back to streaming for season 2 after this.
Yeah, yeah. So, but there was a big panel yesterday for Andor season 2 at Celebration, and a lot of the cast was there. Diego Luna, Genevieve O'Reilly, Adria Arjona, Denise Gao. I don't know how to. I never learned that one. Kyle Solar, Alan Tudyk, which is fun. Sanne Wallenberger, one of the producers. So, and Tony Gilroy, of course. So, the stars were out. They did a big panel, and talked about season 1 and I think season 2 as well. And I've been reading stuff. There was an interview with Tony Gilroy and Diego Luna in Empire last week or the week before, which is good. And there's been a lot of press events and stuff. So there's been a lot of talk about season 2, and I think one of the big talking points has been how it's gonna really change the way we look at Rogue One and watch that movie. So that's kind of fun. And yeah, I mean, just like it looks like this panel was a lot of, kind of similar conversation about, how powerful the show is, how much the characters are going to be put through in season 2, what it's going to ultimately do for our perception of Rogue One. So yeah, I mean, definitely our friend Ian was there. I don't know if Dave was at this one or not. I think so. Ian is Ian was at the Mando and Grogu panel as well. So very, very cool for them. But yeah, I'm sure this panel would have been killer to be at, considering just how freaking great Andor is, to be at the victory lap kind of celebration for this incredible show would be awesome.
Yeah, I love how like the theme of this panel is like everyone involved, like they're joking around and stuff, but then they're also like, yeah, we gotta warn you, this is gonna get dark. And it's like, dude, I've seen Rogue One, I've seen Andor season 2, like I know it's going to get dark. Like, you don't need to prepare me for this. I'm not expecting a nonstop thrill ride, ultra fun time here.
Yeah, but in some ways it feels like it's going to be like, what if all of Rogue One was the third act of Rogue One, where they were just being picked off and dying one at a time. You know what I mean? I do kind of get a little bit of that. I mean, I'm sure the whole, obviously it's a season in of itself, and so it can't just be, climactic third act for the whole season or whatever. But it does kind of feel like a lot of the setup and exposition and establishing of these characters that took place in season 1, so that now in season 2 they can be kind of, have all this pressure applied to them and tragedy and everything else, because we do have these really richly established characters, this great cast of characters that we know pretty well from season 1. And the pace of this one is going to definitely be accelerated, right? Because it's 4 years, I think. 4 years over 4 arcs. And so I think like the pace of what these characters are put through and the intensity of it is going to be higher than it was in season 1.
And I mean, I think this is going to be the consequences of the choices made. It's, to me, like thematically, Andor, season 1 and by extension Rogue One is all about like sacrifice for belief and and making hard choices, which is what every single one of these characters does. And then, this show is excellent enough to explore the impact and the consequence of these choices, and how they affect others and how they affect the bigger picture of this conflict. And yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're being really teed up for in season 2. And literally this is probably the most sure I have ever been of any Star Wars thing ever. Like, I will put so much money on it. This show is going to be excellent.
Yeah, for sure. Great quote from Tony Gilroy here about kind of what I was saying about the characters being put through, whatever. We care about these characters as much as you do, and we will tell every story full out. We go all in on all of them all the way. So, I can't help but feel like part of what that means is most of them are going to die. But I think, like literally what he meant, or directly what he meant, is like, don't worry that, this season's gonna be unsatisfying. Like you're gonna walk away from it feeling like, oh, I wish I would have gotten all of Bix's story, or I wish I would have really gotten all of, Dedra's story or Mon Mothma's story. It's gonna be, you're gonna get a complete story for each of these characters, because the characters are incredible in the show. And like he was responding to the idea that, like, well, the show is called Andor, is it mostly going to be about, like, are you going to get the Andor story but be left wondering about these other characters? And that would be a shame, because so many of them we love so much, right? So but even
he referred to the supporting cast as like a chorus.
Yeah.
And I don't even think supporting cast is the appropriate term, because they are like at the forefront so much. Yeah, absolutely. And our friend Ian, like I said, was there last night, and they showed the first episode of season 2. So that's very happy for them. I thought they might do the whole arc, but I guess, since it was in the panel and they didn't, that makes sense that they showed one episode, right? Because in the past, when they've done that, like for Obi-Wan Kenobi in Anaheim, it was like you went to the Obi-Wan panel in the morning, and then you got the news like, hey, come back tonight and we'll show, I think it was 3 episodes for Obi-Wan. But they showed him the episode right there in the panel. So interesting. Be interesting to hear. Obviously people know, I don't know if they were able to see that, if they were in the overflow rooms, like the streaming rooms. Did they get to watch the episode too? I hope so. But I know our friend Ian saw it, and he said, did I mention that he said we would be, it's incredible and we're going to be blown away. So, about the first episode specifically. So very, very excited for that. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yep. So cool. There was also an Ahsoka panel, Ryan, Ahsoka season 2. And this is interesting because there is no Ahsoka season 2. They haven't started filming Ahsoka season 2 yet. So there's scripts. Yeah. And one thing we learned is that they will be filming starting sometime next week. That when they get back.
Yeah, they're going to be filming immediately when they get back. So that's exciting. Ahsoka is not my most favorite of the Star Wars shows, but there's a lot of stuff I really did like about it. I'm excited for more, for sure. So for whatever reason, with Skeleton Crew wrapping up and knowing that this is the last season of Andor, my mentality has been like, well, Star Wars TV is basically going away, at least for a while. You know what I mean? It just felt like Star Wars TV is over, and it still kind of feels like Star Wars TV might be over, but this is happening. So there is another show on the way. So I don't want to reduce it to that. Like, well, I don't really care about Ahsoka, but at least we get another. I do. I'm excited for the show. I like the show. I've been meaning to. I actually remember I rewatched the first half of it, and then something happened, and I didn't end up rewatching the second half. But I remember when I was rewatching, I was like, yeah, I'm into this. Like, I was liking it more on my second viewing.
I liked it more on my second viewing as well, and I did watch the whole season all the way through.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm excited for this. Some of the news coming out besides the filming is that Rory McCann is going to be playing Balin, and they showed some footage of him, like costume test footage or whatever you want to say, I guess. So that's cool. It's obviously it's tragic. It's imperfect that they had to recast that role, but I think it makes sense. I don't know how you move on from season 1 and don't write that character into the show or make him a part of the show. So and I only know Rory McCann, I think, from Game of Thrones, but he's great in Game of Thrones, and I guess he was I think a friend of Ray Stevenson as well, so that's nice. You know what I mean? So that'll be cool. And also, they revealed that Admiral Akbar will be in Ahsoka season 2. So that's cool.
Wow, it feels like that could be a trap. Is it a trap? I don't know.
Well, the way I'm reading this article
Yeah.
from Star Wars Newsnet that you linked to
Yeah.
that kind of
Hmm.
summarizes the panel or whatever, and they describe it, and maybe this is from the panel, I don't know, but they describe it as Admiral Akbar going head to head against Grand Admiral Thrawn. And that, from that perspective, I think, like, I like that, Ryan. That makes sense. You've got like your Imperial Navy
Strategist.
admiral,
Yeah.
and then we've got our Republic counterpart.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like just for me, it's like if you must do this, Dave Filoni, which of course you must do this because you're Dave Filoni.
Mm-hmm.
Um, please just do that. Just tell us like, hey, this character is going to be returning. Here's why. Like here's their role. And then
Yeah.
so it's not like this like build up to like, oh, big reveal in the episode and then like all of that. Like I hate that stuff. So it's like just tell us like, okay, that's your purpose for having this character in there. Cool. Let's see how it shakes out.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And another thing that I don't think there's any reason to try to keep under wraps or secret or anything is that
Yep.
Hayden Christensen will be returning as Anakin Skywalker in Ahsoka season 2, and I like that as well.
Blessed.
Yeah. Obviously, we all love Hayden, and he was great in both Obi-Wan and Ahsoka season 1, and so yeah, like let's have more of that. I mean, I don't know how many episodes he'll be in or how many sequences he'll be in, but it certainly makes sense for the show. And yeah, I mean, any like. There's only so many opportunities, I guess, to include Hayden in a Star Wars story at this point where it's not like really twisting yourself into a knot to kind of insert him into it. But this is one where it makes a lot of sense, right? So like, let's do it. Let's get him back. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
yep. And then last thing here, I just went and saw this movie in the theater a couple months ago, Princess Mononoke. Dave was talking about how much of an influence
Yes.
Princess Mononoke was on the development of the character of Ahsoka. So I guess this isn't news exactly, but yeah, I think that's cool. I'm excited to tell my son about that because he doesn't like Ahsoka, or like, not the character, he doesn't like Ahsoka. He doesn't like the show Ahsoka. He doesn't really like modern Star Wars TV shows, etc. And I want to be like, well, buddy, guess what? The thing that you really love, Princess Mononoke, is
Yeah.
I'm curious to talk to him about that.
Your son's super into just like classic Japanese films, which is
He is.
That is Dave Filoni's jam.
Yeah, it's actually true. And I don't know if he'd watched as many like samurai films and stuff before we watched season 1 of Ahsoka. I don't think I could get him to watch it again, unfortunately. But yeah, he might be more. I don't know. He might be more interested in sort of some of the samurai, kind of influence and homage and stuff in Ahsoka than he was the first time around. But like I said, I don't think I can get him to watch it, so we'll see. All right. Anything else on that, Ryan, or should we move on to Maul, Shadow Lord?
Let's talk Maul.
So yeah, this is the new animated series that was announced at Celebration. I mean, first and foremost, I'm excited that there is more Star Wars animation on the way. It's been, I guess, a year since Bad Batch season 3 ended, and it would be wild to me if they didn't do more Star Wars animation.
Yeah.
Considering the talent they have and the pedigree and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited.
The tech that they've already developed.
Yeah. Yep. The pipeline they have to kind of produce an animated show. Yeah. So I'm excited, and I think the relatively low risk as well in terms of like a financial risk of producing a show like that, and then the potential benefit. So I'm very happy they're doing it. And this is one of those things where I heard the title and I was like, All right, so a whole show about Darth Maul. Yeah.
And
And
you look at the logo, and oh man, this logo is a treat.
yeah.
Shadow Lord. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
But
Initially very very kind of like cringe eye roll, but then once you dig into it a little more, I don't
yeah,
know. It could be
Maul
kind of cool.
Maul rises again to lead the underworld factions after the Clone Wars. That sounds interesting. And thinking about his participation in Solo, a Star Wars story, his connection to
Mm-hmm.
Crimson Dawn and Kira, and whatever else. I mean, just yeah, there's some interesting possibilities in terms of that. And uh, sometimes these shows like they're named whatever they're named and named after a character. Andor, right? Like I love Andor.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely remember a lot of people being like, do we need a whole show about Cassian Andor? And it's like, it is a
Yeah.
whole show about Cassian Andor, but it's also a whole show about all kinds of other things, right? And other people and
Yeah.
characters. And so who knows what
Same
it'll,
with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So, who knows what it'll, I mean, same for Solo, a Star Wars story, right? Like that's where Kira comes from and people
Like
love Kira,
literally
so
my favorite thing about Solo is Kira and Enfys Nest.
Memphis Nest,
But
yeah.
like, yeah, so that's what kind of like won me over, like, because it was like you know we you I think you dropped this into the text thread, and it was like a big kind of eye roll from me, and then you were like, maybe we see Kira in this, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that actually makes sense, and that would be cool. And then you think like Shadow Lord is like the most awful, corniest, like, oh, this is a Dark Horse comic from 2001, 6-issue miniseries,
Mm,
Maul Shadow Lord. Like, it's uh but then you think about it in the context of like, this is his story of like Crimson Dawn, and it's like he's leading this organization from the shadows.
yeah.
Like, okay, like, this could be cool.
And the title, if you really try, kind of sounds like there's some Phantom Menace vibes too. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
this menace that's just a phantom,
Mm.
right? It's not really there, like concretely, like directly, like okay, he's a Dark
Yeah.
Lord who's in the shadows. You know what I mean? He's pulling the strings from his new metal cave wherever he is. You know what I mean, Darth Maul. So it's like, I mean, I can see some
I'm into
some
that.
connection there potentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, kind of the next one, Ryan, maybe would be a good one for you to talk more about because I think you are a little more hyped about it than I am and more knowledgeable about it than I am. But that's Star Wars
Mm.
Zero Company, the uh, the new game that was not announced but revealed at Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, so this is a Star Wars strategy game, turn-based strategy. Um, think something like Fire Emblem or XCOM. Especially think XCOM, because apparently this company Bitreactor has staff who worked on the most recent XCOM games, which are in very very good, and in like incredibly received critically. It also includes people who have worked on like the legendary Civilization series. So these are people who know strategy, um, and they are making a Star Wars strategy game. Uh, on paper, very excited for this. Like, I do love. I haven't really played any recently, but I do love a good turn-based strategy game. And having one with like excellent production values, and being set in the Star Wars universe, specifically the Clone Wars, for this. love it on paper. They dropped a trailer today that I didn't really feel as great about,
Oh,
unfortunately.
I'm surprised. Okay.
The actual gameplay, the last like 20 seconds of the trailer, it's like, yes, this is exactly what I want. That looks great. The kind of story part of it, I found a little bit cheesy. It was very much like Bad Batch for grown-ups vibe, and very like heavy on like the, you know, the military aspect, the like we're part of this war, but we're like the cool rogue group who like does things our own way. And
I'm
it's
just going
that
to interrupt you real
same.
quick and tell you that joke's on them because Bad Batch is already for grown-ups. Okay,
Oh.
that was the surprise of the Bad Batch show is that it's
Mm.
actually very thoughtful and really great for grown-up audiences. But anyway, continue.
Huh. We must have watched a different Bad Batch. Um, but yeah, so like this, I mean, this kind of like dates back to this sort of trope that has like weirdly been in Star Wars video games for a while, because it's the same kind of energy that I found really off-putting about Republic Commando, which is actually like an incredible game, but the vibes are rancid in that game. And I think this kind of gives me that same feel. And I was like really excited for it. But then, like, that CG trailer was just like, man, I feel like I'm watching every game that's shown on like the Microsoft or Sony stage at like E3 2007. Like, yeah, the vibes are not good.
Hmm.
So hopefully it's just like that stuff doesn't matter. And but like, I don't know. That could be enough to tank it for me. Hopefully we maybe there's more to it than that initial reveal. But yeah, this was probably the biggest disappointment of Celebration for me, because it was
Oh,
something I was really hyped about, and now I'm kind of like, ugh. So we'll see, we'll see.
I I have a couple quick thoughts. One quick thought is that I have traditionally not ever gotten into strategy games like this, although I've barely tried. Like I haven't
Mm.
tried very many either, but when I have, it hasn't been something I've been super into. So I wasn't like super hyped about it just because of that. But we'll see. Doesn't mean I won't try it. I might, but yeah, it was something I was kind of already like, well, I don't usually play those kind of games. Second thought is that every time I look at the poster, or whatever you want to call that, the cover image, I'm like, at least right away when I first see it, I'm like, why is Adam Cole, baby, sitting there like right up front in the cover art for the game?
Yes,
Um,
yes.
and then lastly, I know our friend Kevin is very uh, curious as to whether or not this is going to come out for Switch 2, the Nintendo Switch 2, which is,
Mm-hmm.
of course, recently announced and coming out next month, and or I guess a month and a half from now. But I see that it's an Electronic Arts game, and so yeah, I know we had talked about it earlier. Ryan, you had said it seems like a no-brainer that it should come to
Mm-hmm.
Switch 2 with it being a handheld platform and whatever else, and it seems like that all makes sense. But Electronic Arts has been a little less enthusiastic about supporting Nintendo platforms with like some of these kind of games lately. Like for instance,
Mm-hmm.
Ubisoft has announced Outlaws for Switch 2, but
Mm-hmm.
no word on like Jedi Outcast or anything like that. I know EA does have other big games coming to Switch 2 though, like
Jedi
Madden.
Outcast is on Switch One.
My bad, my bad. What is the game I'm talking? Cal Kestis.
Fallen Order Jedi Survivor.
Yeah. My
That
bad.
duology.
Yes, you know what I'm talking about. But
Yes.
it's not like EA does have games coming to Switch too, but sometimes like with their more like graphical, not that this is a graphical powerhouse, but I'm just saying like it feels like
Yeah.
they as a company, at least traditionally, have looked at Nintendo platforms and said, oh, well, we only put certain kind of games on Nintendo platforms. And I have in the past been frustrated by the lack of Star Wars EA games on Nintendo platforms, but so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how this shakes out. Kind of a bummer, but oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. More exciting. Let's talk about Star Wars publishing and what
Yes.
all is on the horizon there. Star Wars High Republic stuff. The whole initiative is coming to a conclusion here pretty soon,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a few novels still on the way in comics. I have fallen out of High Republic so hard recently,
Mm-hmm.
not intentionally, but I'm way back in Phase
Yep.
2, like at the very beginning of Phase 2, basically. I haven't been reading the comics for a couple of years. I'm way back. So I don't have a ton of thoughts about this. Ryan, do you have
Mm.
kind of any big thoughts on the High Republic stuff?
No, honestly, like I'm just kind of waiting to get people's final thoughts on it once the whole initiative's done, and then to get like the essential reads
Yeah.
list that people make once everything's wrapped up, and kind of dig into that because despite my best intentions with Phase One, there is just too much of it. And
Yeah.
have a finite amount of time that I can devote to reading Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting because the people that love the High Republic, that like really, really love it, I think like they they could handle more. Like they would be open to more High Republic books and
Mm-hmm.
comics and everything else, but um I am curious of in terms of the success of the High Republic initiative, if like it had been a little lighter on, like overwhelming us with so many stories, like if it would have actually been if a broader audience would have stuck with it, you know what I mean? If it was a little more manageable, I guess
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm trying to say. But that's a delicate balance because, like I said, the people that like it's the most for, quote unquote, the people that are most into it, I feel like, that they're not saying that they got too much and that they're overwhelmed. I
Mm-hmm.
think they love all the stories they're getting and stuff, and that's part of why the people that love it as much as they do. So yeah, I don't know. It's a tough situation, but yeah, there is a lot more. I mean, it's wrapping up, but there's still
Mm-hmm.
plenty of comics and a couple books and everything on the way there. So that we have that to look forward to, as well as Star Wars Acolyte: The Crystal Crown, written by Tessa Grafton or Grattan. I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about Jeckie and Yord, so that's pretty fun. Um, I love those characters. I loved Jeckie and Yord, so um, I think I'm likely to read this one. That
Okay.
sounds pretty interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
not so much for you.
Um. No, I think like for me, Acolyte is a story that like I don't really want to go backwards on. Like
Mm,
I want to know what comes next. And I mean maybe this book will be cool. Um but yeah, I'm just for whatever reason I'm just not interested in going backwards. I think if it was like, you know, I mean ideally it's like, hey, Acolyte season 2, it's happening. Uh but aside from that, if it was like, hey, here's a novelization or a comic series about like where the story goes next, like I would be very into that.
okay. All right. How about the Acolyte visual guide, which is going to be, or the actually no, there's both. There's
Yeah.
the art of the Acolyte and also the
Mm-hmm.
visual guide. So both of those books are on the way. The art of the Acolyte on October 7th, and the visual guide in June 17th. So,
Yeah.
um, how about
I will
those?
buy the Art of book
Okay,
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Probably not the visual guide, but
Okay.
yeah, the art book for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably get both of them, just because I really do love the both of those lines of books, the visual guides and the art of. I mean, I'm a little more into the art of books. Those are always must purchases. Basically, the only one I don't have, I think, right now is the Art of the High Republic. I don't think I have that one, but again, we talked all about that when it was. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. Okay. But I might get that at some point. Maybe I will. I probably should. But super excited for the Art of the Acolyte, and I think the visual guy will be cool too. So, yeah, it's good. I mean, it's bittersweet, I guess, right? But it's cool that stuff is on the way. Even more exciting to me personally is the Art of Andor, the complete series. Yes. Phil Shostak, who has written many great art of books, and there was a while there where we were getting a great art of book like at least every year. All of the 5 Star Wars or Disney era Star Wars movies got like a great comprehensive art of book. Most of them, maybe all of them, most of them from Phil Shostak. And then like Mando season 1 and 2.
Yep. 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Galaxy's Edge for some reason.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, there's so many great art of books, and I devour them every time they come out. I love them, and Andor I love almost as much or more than any other Star Wars thing. So I cannot wait for this one.
Yep.
I have to wait though, because it doesn't come out until March of 2026. But when that happens, I will be very, very excited. Another book that was, I think, revealed here, I didn't know about it ahead of time anyways, is Industrial Light and Magic 50 Years of Innovation.
Love it.
Yeah, that should be great. That comes out in November. I don't know too much else about that book, but I'm not familiar with the author, and I don't even know who's publishing it because it looks a little different than, like, it doesn't have the standard kind of look that some of these other like coffee table books have. Yeah, that information is probably out there somewhere, but anyway, that'll be exciting.
It'll be good.
Yep.
It'll be good.
Comics. You're the comics guy, Ryan. Any thoughts on these comics that have been announced here?
Okay. First of all, Star Wars Hyperspace Stories Codebreaker sees Poe Dameron and BB-8 back in action just in time for the 10-year anniversary of The Force Awakens later this year. I love this. This is a Dark Horse comic, not a Marvel one, and it looks exactly like a Dark Horse comic from like 1998 and from the cover, and I really love that. I will be picking this up. I actually fell off the Star Wars comics for a while, but I recently subscribed to the Star Wars Jedi Knights series, and something exciting announced for that is that issue 8, Ahmed Best, character from The Mandalorian, is going to be featured in this comic series. So, what is it? Kelleran Beck. The Jedi that he plays is like just hanging out with Yoda here, and that's awesome. Like, I'm really, really stoked to see like what they do with this character and like what he's all about.
I'm hoping to see that character in The Mandalorian and Grogu, Ryan. I think that's a possibility. So, we'll see.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is. You may remember in The Mandalorian season 3 when Grogu was rescued from the temple and being taken to a Naboo cruiser, just made me think that Kelleran Beck could have been involved in some way.
Okay.
Or Jar Jar. Maybe. Or Kelleran Beck and Jar. Or no, Kelleran Beck was involved. Obviously, he was the one who who rescued him. But I'm saying, like, the fact that there's a Naboo cruiser made me think that you could get Jar Jar and maybe we go back to that that flashback story.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because
Okay.
they left it like on a cliffhanger, like, or not a cliffhanger, but it was like, oh, hey, we got to get him back to Naboo or the Naboo cruiser. And it's like, why do you say that? You know what I mean? Like, you got to return to that. I feel like, or you don't have to, but I feel like that's an indication that the plan is to return to that. And that could be in Mandalorian season 4, or it could be right there in the Mandalorian and Grogu film.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
More Legacy of Vader, which is.
Are you reading that?
I am not. I really want to. I missed the first issue and then just haven't followed through with that. I'll probably get it in trade paperback, I think, versus monthly. And then a whole lot of Star Wars manga.
Yeah.
Going hard on the manga. Could be cool. I don't know.
My younger son has enjoyed some Star Wars manga. He reads a lot of manga. Like he went to the library yesterday and he got about 25 different manga nice. Collections or whatever. Like he brings a big bag and it's very heavy when we leave every time. So he loves that stuff, which is great. So yeah, these could be things that he enjoys. I mean, I'm sure I would enjoy them too, but I'm not necessarily like online like pre-ordering all this manga or whatever, but I'm sure I would like it, but I know he will. And I think manga is so popular with kids right now that the more Star Wars manga they get out there, I think the better, in terms of like getting kids invested in Star Wars. So the one that was maybe most exciting to me is this one, the Path of the Lightsaber. And I'm not familiar with the artist. In fact, I think, was it Elliot who Elliot might have seen one of these and been like, well, it's not manga. And I was like, what do you mean it's not manga? And he's like, it's not made in Japan. And I'm like, okay. All right, man, sorry. So, but anyway, Kenny Ruiz, I'm not familiar with that person, but story and art by Kenny Ruiz. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess he may not be Japanese, but I'm also not too worried about that myself. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that this seems to be set in the sequel trilogy era. And so that is intriguing to me.
Yeah.
Master of Evil by Adam Christopher, a Darth Vader novel. That's a novel concept. No pun intended, but first time for everything with a new Darth Vader story on the way. So that'll be cool.
Yes. Sarcasm aside, the yeah, I think like on the surface, this is one that I'm like, okay, great. But I do think the synopsis, that this book chronicles Vader's haunting pursuit for the power to conquer death. Like, that's interesting.
I'm open to it.
Particular angle.
Yeah. I'm open to that, but I'm also like, I saw his quest for the power to conquer death in Revenge of the Sith, and then he was defeated, and he is defeated for the next 20 years until, like, I feel like he's told that Padme is dead, and he believes that Padme is dead, and he believes that he killed Padme. And as a result, I don't never thought that he would still be on a haunting pursuit for the power to conquer death as Darth Vader. But not like, hey, there's been a million situations in Star Wars where we thought, or we interpreted the story one way, or the story was maybe intended to be one thing, and then they kind of revised it. And I'm not saying like, that this can't be great, or it's a terrible idea or whatever, but it's a head scratcher for me, even the description of it, because like the phrasing sounds great, but then as soon as I think about it, it's like,
yeah,
why would he, what do you mean? Like that's not the story. The story is he was sold a lie by Palpatine, and then he was sold another lie by Palpatine, which is that he killed his own wife. And that was the only thing that was the reason for him to be so, like, who does he love now that he wants to save not himself, nobody else. Like, why would he be on this quest? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But again, that's just my like
Okay.
initial reaction. I'm sure the people who spent months and years developing this story have very good answers to those questions. But initially, it's like a little bit of a head scratcher for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like thinking about it for more than 5 seconds, it does actually kind of fall apart premise wise. Um, we'll see. I mean, even Star Wars books that I do think sound interesting, I haven't been reading these days, so I would certainly not commit to this. But what I will commit to is probably spending like $100 or whatever on the Revenge of the Sith re-release.
The novel. Gotcha. I thought maybe you were moving on to the 2-volume, 800-page deluxe slipcase collection, Doug Chang, The Cinematic Legacy and the Star Wars Legacy, because that's I think closer to $200, and I want it.
And I will probably pay that for that.
Yeah. And that's an Abrams release. They do the Art of Star Wars books, and they're super high quality. So yeah, this looks amazing, and it comes out
deluxe slipcase.
Yeah, 800 pages. I mean, right there, you're talking some credits, right, to buy that one. But December 2nd could be a great holiday gift. So we talked about the Acolyte books. There's a Jeffrey. I know you like Jeffrey Brown. There's actually, is it Jeffrey Brown? Yes, it is Jeffrey Brown. The I Find Your Lack of Candy Disturbing Halloween Star Wars book.
Oh boy.
So that should be fun. Star Wars Blueprints. That's cool.
Pablo Hidalgo and J.W. Rinsler.
Yes. So Pablo Hidalgo kind of picking up where J.W. Rinsler left off, and that I'm into that for sure, especially with it having more modern ships, sequel era ships, etc. Like, I like that.
Yeah. I think I'll pick that up.
Yeah. So that's cool. And an updated version of, I'm sorry, the name of the book is the
Women of the Galaxy.
Women of the Galaxy, right? Yep. Yeah. Very cool. I have the original, so I don't know if I'm going to buy like another version of it necessarily, but
yeah, the original is very good. And I really love the art throughout the book. It will depend on how much more there is in this book. It's like, it's kind of weird because they're like, hey, these are the characters who are added. Here's a picture of the art and the full text for their entries. Yeah. And it's kind of like, well, do I need to buy
Maybe
this?
I can just look at the screen grab. Yeah.
I just read all of it right here.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All
right. Well, let's wrap up, Ryan, by
with the biggest news out of Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, some Star Wars toys. You want to lead with the big one? You want to lead with the
big one,
the main event,
the only one.
Oh,
the only thing that matters coming out of Celebration Japan: Star Wars: The Black Series Dash Rendar. Here we go.
Yeah.
Kmart Han Solo for everyone. Gonna be, what are they, like $30 retail price now?
Oh, who knows? I mean, is it a deluxe? If it's a deluxe, God only knows what they're going to charge for it. Yeah.
But can you even put a price on a Black Series Dash Rendar? I mean, I think it's deluxe because I'm just looking at those shoulder pads. Those just scream deluxe to me.
Yeah. Actually, hopefully it's not a deluxe. It doesn't show any other accessories or anything, but I don't think it would be the first time that there was a figure that came out at a deluxe with a deluxe title and price, and you're like, well, what is deluxe about it? But it looks great. I mean, they, I don't know how you do the likeness of Dash Rendar, because like there's the cutscene art in the Nintendo 64 game, and there's the cover or kind of art from the books, and there was comics and whatever else. So I don't know exactly what Dash Rendar should look like. I will say the likeness on display here is not what I've traditionally thought of Dash Rendar looking like.
No.
But, you know, it is what it is, right? It's like he's a character who there is no like on screen, you know, outside of like artistic renderings, drawings, whatever, like there's no on screen Dash Rendar. So there's definitely the opportunity to kind of create something new there, or, you know, a sort of blend of all the different Dash Rendar looks, I suppose.
Yeah, and what I think they did get right here is the outfit.
Yeah.
Like, the outfit looks great.
Yep.
And they didn't even try to make it modern and cool. It looks like something from 1996, and I love it.
Yeah, and I am usually very impressed with the quality of the black figure kind of sculpts and paint jobs and all that kind of stuff, and all of these figures look great. There's a bunch of other figures listed here too. There's Marin and a Marin from Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, and Cal Kestis, the Cal Kestis build-up pack with a bunch of other characters there.
Like a mullet and a mustache is the thing that you can do.
Han and Chewie. And then there's some great vintage collection figures here too. Marin again, a rocket launcher stormtrooper. That's fun. Probably going to charge a few extra bucks for him with that big rocket launcher. I don't know. Moff Gideon in Dark Trooper armor. Cobb Vanth, a great looking vintage collection Bantha. And actually, I am into this one, Crosshair from the Bad Batch too. So all these figures look good. At some point recently, I've come to the realization that I don't really have a place to put all these Star Wars toys. Most of my Star Wars toys are in boxes right now. So that, coupled with the price of these Star Wars toys, does kind of dampen the excitement that I might have for them personally, but they are fun reveals and good looking figures and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I think definitely some fun reveals there. I mean, the Star Wars Celebration exclusive Black Series, you know, figure is the highlight to me, which is not included in the story we're looking at, but the what's the name of the character from Visions? Oh my god. The one from the samurai character from Visions.
Oh, the Ronin.
The Ronin, yeah, the Ronin. My bad.
Yeah,
the Ronin. You've seen that, the Ronin plus the droid, like the. Ryan, you've seen it, Ryan.
I haven't seen that.
What?
I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen it.
All right. Well, you should look that up because that is.
I don't actually buy Star Wars figures anymore. I don't even follow along. I bought every Andor figure, every Black Series Andor figure, and immediately put them in a box. I don't even know where the box is. I have not looked at them since the day they arrived, and I feel like that was maybe not a good use of my money, but
probably not. But I love Star Wars toys, and I still have fun with the announcements and you know, the idea of these Star Wars toys, even though right now I'm not probably buying too many of them, but maybe someday I'll buy some more Star Wars toys. I wish that I could, I've talked about this a lot on the show. I won't belabor the point. I wish I could walk through a store and see a Star Wars figure swinging there for in between $7 and $10 and go, you know what? I want to get that guy today. But that doesn't really happen. So, you know,
there are some. There is a more like budget 3 3/4 line now.
Yes, and those are cool. Those are great. And I think that's what they need to do a lot more of. But yeah, yep. So that is good, and they are doing a little bit of that. So that's good. All right, Ryan. Star Wars Celebration. It has been a lot of fun. Good news coming out of Star Wars Celebration. There's one more day of celebration that will be starting for us tonight for all of our friends who are lucky enough to be in Japan, starting tomorrow morning in Japan time. So we'll see what happens there. But you know, the next big event for us outside of that, of course, is the release of Andor on Tuesday, the 22nd. So I am insanely excited for that. Cannot wait. and we're going to come back and talk about that sometime next week. So, we're going to wrap up this episode here, but looking forward to coming back and talking Andor next week for sure.
Well, and then next weekend, Revenge of the Sith in the theaters.
Yes. I haven't gotten tickets yet because I need to figure out when I'm going and into which theater and stuff like that. But super excited for that, of course. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to wrap the show up there. Thanks for listening. And we'll be back, like I said, next week with our Andor episode. And maybe we'll even talk a little bit about Revenge of the Sith. Who knows? But until then, you can find all of our previous episodes at blockaderunnerpodcast.com. Follow the show on Blue Sky. And also join our Discord, where we've got some, photos and reactions and discussion coming in from Tokyo, Japan right now from Star Wars Celebration. So always fun stuff happening in our Discord. Ryan, where can listeners of the show follow you?
I'm on Blue Sky, DVD menus, and standard issue computing are the accounts I run.
All right, cool. All right, well, thanks very much for listening, and we'll be back soon with another episode of the Blockade Runner Podcast.